This is Book Monster Mitch. Okay, this is Book Monster Mitch with my first live. My moderator is Z, sitting in the background. Um, if anybody wants to join in the fun, join in the conversation, please do so. If not, you can catch this later on the channel, I'm sure. I'm not sure how long I'll be doing this stream, but hey, it's all for fun, all uh, for celebration on the channel. Since I've been doing this channel for a little over a year now, I I'm sorry, notifications are coming on my computer just with systems and other programs that I've got. Mainly like little free games that I play. That's what distracted me for a moment. But anyway, like I was saying, anybody wants to join in, this is an open stream, open live stream, a Q&A, first live stream, things of that nature. But for now, I'll let you know that, you know, I am an open book and always have been and always will be. I see we have one current viewer. Thank you for joining in. Um, I was trying to see if they notify me on who joined in, but I can't tell. So, yeah, like I was saying, I'm an open book, always have been, pretty much always will be. So feel free to ask me anything that you'd like, even if it's something I have already stated on the channel. Maybe you don't know or haven't seen that video. I state things pretty often on the videos anyway, so I tend to repeat myself as it is. Hopefully, I can answer questions and we can just have a little informal chat. That's all I'm really looking for with this. Nothing more, nothing less. But anyway, I do play video games as a hobby, and YouTube videos is a hobby. Just anything and everything I can get my hands on, watching movies, reading books. Of course, the name of the channel isn't Book Monster by coincidence. I do actually read books. So there's that. And just some of my favorite movies are from the late 80s or mid to late 80s and 90s. Um, because I was born in 1982. So currently I'm 43. My birthday's in May, late May. Um, I'm disabled. My disability is classified as cerebral palsy or CP. I am wheelchair bound, um, and have staff, aides, helpers, whatever you want to call them. We typically say staff. Um, I live in my own apartment, um, owned by a an agency that, you know, caters to the disabled and or elderly. My neighbors have some form of disability. So yeah, just I'm sorry if I'm stumbling. I just don't really know what to say, even though like I said, this is an open forum and any topic is on the table. Just I'm my thoughts are scrambled. The reason I decided to start up the channel, or the reasons I decided to start up the channel, are so many to mention. But for the most part, I have so much that I want to share with people. And instead of typing everything out on Facebook or um, any platform that requires mostly, you know, typing sentences or paragraphs to share topics with people, I personally find it a little easier to turn on the camera, record, and then upload to, in this case, YouTube. So that's, a reason, or a couple of reasons really, I started the channel. I've been watching YouTube quite some time. At one point, like I'm sure many others, you know, I didn't know YouTube was a thing until somebody just showed it to me that any topic your heart desires or your mind can think of is pretty much here on one platform. Just type it into the search bar and somebody somewhere more than likely recorded videos on that topic or subject, whatever. Um, I think I officially, got on the platform and created my um not created the channel, but created like my identity or whatever to subscribe to uh, people's channels or whatever. I think that was either in 2009 or maybe 2010, somewhere around there. I'm not sure. Time passes so fast. But I do know the at the time I did, discover YouTube, I wasn't able and didn't want to create video. But now, as time went on, I've watched enough. I wanted to join it, so I took the plunge. My inspirations for the channel come from many other channels, but I'll just name off top definitely is Mike from Mike Book Reviews in Houston, Texas. I won't name where everybody is because I'm not sure. Some of the people I follow, you know, or Mike from Mike's Book Reviews. I know he's in Houston, Texas. John and Jacob Minton of Talking Story. I don't know where they're located, and like I said, no need to, put everybody out there. Philip Chase, Daniel Green, of course, Murphy Napier. If you're not catching a pattern, all of these I'm mentioning, all these channels I'm mentioning, more or less center around books and or movies because that's what I'm into. But I do follow channels other than books or movie related topics. For whatever reason, I'm interested in medical, like medical physical exams, because honestly, my dream career would be a physician, a doctor, and that's due largely in part or solely in part to my disability, having to go to so many doctor's appointments, regardless of primary physician or specialties or anything of that nature. I don't know. But of course, my disability prevents that. So, you know, um, but I am a fairly, you know, man, I get upset and frustrated mainly because, not only because, but a lot of times it has to do with what I'm limited in. But anyway, I make do. Um, of course, we all have to. But anyway, I'm sorry to keep saying, but anyway, or anything. In that nature, I do it on my videos. I try not to, but it's just me trying to gather my thoughts. Back to, I said earlier that I started doing the YouTube videos because I, didn't want to type everything I had to say. Well, honestly, no, I don't want to type everything. I want to tell people if I can't see you and have conversation or conversations face to face, what have you. You know, I'll make videos. Uh, Now I've started making videos, but all that aside, what I'm trying to get at is I read books, but I'm also trying, I've been trying for years to get published, to write something, uh, to join in on the book world at large, to have my works, my thoughts, my stories alongside any of those you see in the bookstore, whether it be Anne Rice, Stephen King, Dean Koontz, Brandon Sanderson, any author you could think of. I want to be among them. So, yeah, that's another thing I'm desperately trying to accomplish. So, but I will be published under a pseudonym, not, my first and last name, but another name that means everything to me. The name or names I've chosen as my pseudonym is Paul as the first, because that's my middle name. That's my given middle name, Paul. Ivy is one of my grandfather's names. I won't say which grandfather. And Cab is an amalgamation of my other grandfather's initials, CAB. Now, I know cab is typically referred to as a car or taxi cab, but and not a name. But that's what I came up with. initially it was going to be Paul Cap, and that would be my published name. But now I just recently went from Paul Cab to Paul I Cab to now it will be whenever I write something and eventually you see it on the shelf, it will be Paul Ivy Cab. And that'll be my book or books published under that name. Most likely, I'll go the self-pub route or independent published route. Um, instead of shopping around, um, and things of that nature, I'll just see what it takes to go the independent or self-published route. But first, I have to write something. And that has been in the works for years. Currently, I'm writing something that I first thought about either in junior high or high school. So I'm in my mid 40s currently. So you gotta figure that was at least 20 or 30 years ago at this point. At least. At least 20 or 30 years ago. I know for sure I had enough written by my high school years. I believe either sophomore or junior year, either 10th or 11th grade year, to bring the notebook to school and ask my English teacher at the time, English literature teacher at the time, to read it to the class. She did that, and I remember, my classmates just being interested in asking who wrote that, who wrote what she read. She didn't read everything I had written. And honestly, those were my words on the page, but it was handwritten in a notebook. So I dictated and somebody handwrote that for me. But anyway, like I was saying, my classmates were interested and wanted to know who wrote what what the teacher had just read. And when we revealed it was me, my story, my classmates were happy and excited. I remember that much. But I'm interested in fantasy and or science fiction. So I've been trying to go the fantasy route lately. For the past few years, I've tried going the fantasy route. Um, unfortunately, fantasy genre seems to be overwhelming for me because but the stories in the fantasy genre that my imagination can come up with is too much for one book. Um, as is the case for all the fantasy authors, it seems. So I have been, trying my best, like I said, to write in the fantasy genre, but I know the story that I have in my head, like I said, is too much for one book. So it's going to be a trilogy, but back to my high school years, my junior high and high school years, in the story the teacher read to the class. That was a science fiction, alien invasion, body snatchers story. So I told one of my female friends just recently on Facebook Messenger a little snippet of that story, you know, uh, about the teacher reading it and everything like that. And that just got me wanting to go back in to that world. So recently after that, I just started back on, you know, with that storyline fresh. And I've been writing that for the better part of a week, or probably getting to be about a week and a half, almost 2 weeks at this point. So I'm not going to say any more than the little bit I've shared about that, other than, like I said, it being a sci fi, alien invasion, body snatching type story. But I'm not gonna even share the title right now, although I think it's a good title and it will stay. I don't want to give too much away right now. Very early stages, very um, still in my head for the biggest chunk is still in my head. I'm not even sure if the character names are the same. It's pretty much the same setting, same type of characters. Just the names may have, you know, changed from high school till now. But the essence, the storyline pretty much has and will stay the same. So look, I've been, doing this live stream for about 30 minutes. I know most people stay on live streams for a good hour, hour and a half. Um, just right now, I don't want to overstay my welcome on my first live stream. I'm sorry for those who didn't join in, and um, but there'll be others. I just This was more of a test run of a live stream than anything. Um, I just figured, hey, give people an opportunity to join in a conversation live. Um, After a good year on doing the channel, uh, but I'll sign off, and you can catch the recap or you know replay on the channel. Um, I'm sure it'll stay on there till I delete it. But also, just to let you know, the current channel, this channel, Book Monster, is not my first. Is not my first channel. Um, about 3 years ago, 2022, I decided to join in, take the plunge, whatever, on, becoming a content creator. So honestly, my first channel is Fantasy and Science Fiction Fest. It's still up, although I'm not active on it. The reason I created Book Monster instead of staying with Fantasy and Science Fiction Fest, when I had to update my computer um, that I'm using now, somehow, some reason, I lost access to Fantasy and Science Fiction Fest. So there are technically two channels with my, you know, brand or face or whatever out there. But Book Monster is here to stay for the foreseeable future. Um, I don't think I'll deactivate Fantasy and Science Fiction Fest. I don't think I can technically get into it and access it, much less deactivate it. So, it's just floating out there in cyberspace, as they say. Um, but I do have some videos on there as well. You can get an idea of what my first channel, my first attempt at YouTube. was I talk about more or less the same topics on there that I have been discussing on Monster. So you're not missing out on anything real. Um, I'll repeat a lot of topics sometimes because, maybe some people have uh, missed it originally, so I'll go back and um, repeat things a lot. So forgive me for that, for people that have followed me from the beginning and feel that, hey, you've said this, you've done this several times. I'm just doing my best to keep the engagement up, keep everything going. If you feel you have to skip a video or two because I repeated some things you've heard before, I'm not gonna take offense. But just know that possibly, yes, I may repeat something in a video that you have heard time and time again, but there's that possibility that I'll say something fresh and new. And because you skipped out on that video, you'll miss out. I'm not trying to come down on anybody or anything like that. Just letting it be known that, yeah, you've heard something over and over again, but there's a possibility you'll catch something that you didn't catch before. So I'll sign off now. For those that have stayed on, which I think might be one or two people, if I'm reading that right. Just thank you for joining in, at least if you didn't, want to or couldn't um, comment. I appreciate that you did or have joined in and listened to me talk. There will be other videos. There will be eventually other chats like this. It's not anytime soon. I'll, make a lot more videos than live feeds or live streams. I made a video that will be coming out on Monday, the 24th at 7 a.m. Central um, Standard Time US. So be on the lookout for that. And I have 170 videos, I believe 175 as of this coming Monday, November 24th. And 69 subscribers, I believe. So after a year of doing this, after a year plus of the channel being alive and active, um, that's not bad at all. So thank you and have a good day, good evening, and we'll talk soon.